This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. This is a new day to live your life. This is a new day to try to get right. This is a new day to get on track. Yeah, that's life in football. It's life in football. We are life in football.
You are now listening to the Life in Football podcast. Check out the new website, lifeinfootball.com.
Welcome to the Life in Football podcast, baby. I'm your host, Mike V.
And this your co-host, Coleman Moore. You know we loving life and enjoying football.
Top-notch ballers all around the world. Top-notch ballers all around the world. Today, we got a very special guest on by the name of James Coleman. He was a fullback at Florida State. Also was very interesting. I played against him in high school. He played at Florida High back then. Big boy, big time fullback. And he was one of the first people. We had a weight meet, I'll never forget. Now this the old Florida High, y'all. This when they used to be on Florida State football. Florida State campus. So we went in the weight room and he lived like he was on the bench press. He had like some of the most weights on there. And I'm looking like, oh my goodness, man, in high school. Boom, push it off the chest. And come to find out, later on that year, I played him in football. And he was their fullback. Now just imagine him on his side when he went to Florida State. He was that same side his senior year, coming through the hole. Now James Coleman, to this day, man, he a great man. He helping the youth, he coaching, and then he got he a business owner. This guy right here, man, this a person as a role model for the youth or anybody for us college ball that you can look at and say, you know what, it is life after football. And this guy, when he was in high school, you could tell he was determined because in that weight room that day, I remember him, he making all the noise and everything, but he was a guy who was determined to be the best, to be successful. And then when he went to Florida State, it ain't even turned down. He kept doing the same thing, running hard, playing hard. And I know he's somebody Coach Bowden was happy to have on his team, man. And this is a Florida High legend. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let Simo bring him on.
So now since y'all was already on the campus, they already knew about you. They already knew. They probably said, look what we got back there, y'all. Look, go into practice, see what we got. And they already knew they were gonna lock you in.
I mean, that sounds right. That sounds that sounds like it should be that easy, but it's not. Honestly, Florida High now, I'm so proud to look at what they're doing. With Coach Hickman, young Hickman, he actually coached me. I had old Hickman at first, and then he left and did some other stuff. But we kind of had a downturn. We had Mike Gaines, who I was able to look at, and Mike Gaines was that guy, number one tight end in the nation. And then we didn't have really anything as far as like guys making noise like that. Right. So I had to come up and really make a name for myself. And one, I like that. I'm going to cut that and I'm going to play that to myself because people don't talk that nice about me. Yeah. I joke to people all the time. I go to Starbucks every morning, not because they got the best coffee. It's because I know I'm going to pay $5 and somebody going to say, how you doing, James? It's nice to see you. Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Before media, they tell me I'm stupid all the time. I don't know what I'm talking about. They don't like my opinion sometimes. But Florida High, we hadn't had a guy go to Florida State, I believe, since Martin Mayhew. And that was in the late, it might have been late 80s, early 90s. And Martin Mayhew was now the general manager for the Washington Commanders. And so I went, and then a few years after that, my godbrother Brandon Jenkins went. And then all of a sudden now Florida High is known for being one of the premier programs. But we had kind of taken a step back. But a lot of the stuff that when I went there, it was probably one of the best experiences for me for what I'm doing right now. I grew up, for people familiar with Tallahassee, on Rockbrook, and then hanging out on the South Side. Before football, I got in a lot of trouble. I was physical. I've always been physical. Yeah. And me and my friends have always been physical. We were physical probably for the wrong reasons. That we were very hot-headed, hot-tempered. Went to Fairview Middle School first before I went to Steele Collins. Had to get a little bit of correction. And but we, football, I came in, I played that, and my mom didn't want me to go to Ricketts or to Lincoln so that I didn't get in the same trouble I got at Fairview. So they put me at Florida High, and Florida High helped me me be around a different element, a different crowd. But at the same time, I had a guy, Joe Nixon, kind of put me on football, and he said, James, you get to fight people, and people cheer for you to fight.
Yeah.
And you don't get in trouble. And I'm like, you mean to tell me I can go hit somebody as hard as I want to, and I'm not going to go to jail, and I'm not going to get in trouble? He said, yeah. So I started saving all of that. People talk to me slick, do all that. I said, man, I saved that up for practice and for games. And I was trying to knock somebody out every game. And it kind of just helped me get a mentality that has kind of helped me be successful in life. Because I never set out to be a role model. I'm not even gonna lie to people. Right now, all my intentions on things that I do is very selfish. I don't want a James Coleman to mess up my James Coleman III or Kai Edgar Coleman. I'm trying to prevent them from having to see young men like me. So if I can go and be around their friends and be around other people and influence their environment, that might help them be better. Because I think about now maybe the people who I might have influenced the wrong way when I was coming up, and like, man, what could maybe the city have been a little bit better had I been not as hard headed. But it's trying to just try to make the world better, not for me and not for the betterment of the world. I just want my kids to have a better world. So if that helps other people, great. But it's selfish. I ain't gonna lie to you. That's the main reason, man. But yeah, man. I love Tallahassee, man. Tallahassee's a great city. I wish I could still be here. If I probably would. My son think he's gonna go to Florida High somehow and make people forget about him. He's hell bent on being the only James Coleman that people remember.
Yeah, he gonna put that work in.
I'm ready for it. I hope he does it, man.
What actually made you pick Florida State? Because you could have probably went anywhere else. So what made you?
I was going to Miami
out of the gate.
So backstory to that. My mother went to FAMU. My father went to FAMU for a little bit, but he's from Columbus, Ohio, and my mama's from Trenton, New Jersey. So basically Philadelphia area. Right. So even though a lot of people know me here, I have a lot of family here now. I have no blood in the city of Tallahassee. Right. So we came down here and it was like nobody here. And when I came down here permanently, all I knew was Northeast and had to learn the South. Right. But in the Northeast, you saw an inner city in the Northeast, you saw Florida State, Miami play. And we saw Florida play Florida State, but I ain't really like Florida. They were weird. They were if you ever see the 30 for 30 when Jalen talks about how he hated Duke. Yeah. Because Duke was 2-parent households. They were this. Yeah. So that's how I looked at Florida. I'm like, that's a certain type of black guy that the Gators go for. Button up, enunciates their words. They don't have fun. I like rap. Yeah. I see Miami doing backflips in the end zone. I see Florida State. I see a coach that's got a reign over his dogs, but lets his dogs be dogs. Yeah. And so I said, it's only two. When we came down here, there's only two programs that I could ever see myself playing for. Right. That's Miami or Florida State. And when I came here, because of the connection with FAMU, I only knew FAMU. Florida State is right there. I didn't go to my first Florida State game until I was recruited. So I was going to Miami, but my story is interesting in this. And this is what I want people to pick up from this. Stop telling these kids these lies. Mm-hmm. All we heard was if you're good enough, they're going to get you in. Good enough, they're going to get you in. So while I was incredibly smart, I didn't go to class. I didn't do my homework. Yeah, I passed every test, though. But the problem is about 25% of most of your classes is attendance and homework. Right. So you got to get 100. So I'm making it harder on myself thinking that this is going to get me in a C. All I got to do is graduate. So my GPA, and they can lower the GPAs for a certain amount of athletes, but you got to get into the college. Right. So I had a hard time actually getting in. So Miami had to pull my scholarship because I couldn't get in. And then it was like, okay, well, I really like Bobby. Bobby, I met Bobby. Bobby's a great dude. Had some Miss Ann. I thought it was Miss Ann made the banana pudding, but turns out it was Airmark. But it is what it is. But Bobby liked banana pudding. I like banana pudding. We share the love of banana pudding. But I couldn't get into Florida State either. And what happened was now it's called a blue shirt. Mm. Then it was I got to prefer a walk-on spot. Mm. And their thing was they said, you got to get in, though. If you can get into Florida State, James, we got you. but we don't think you could get in. And it, man, like I said, I don't know how people believe, and I get it. It's a lot of weird stuff going on. Something outside of human intervention got me into Florida State.
Right.
Because there's a program called the CARE program. And I got in through the CARE program, but I did not apply to the CARE program until well after the day. Matter of fact, it was a week before they were making decisions on who's getting into the CARE program. So that's when they had me apply. You had to have, there was still a minimum GPA that you had to have and then a minimum test score. It was a 2.5 core GPA. So it ain't your GPA. Core GPA is just the classes that your algebra, your Englishes, your maths and stuff like that. My core was 2.3. My overall GPA was like 2.7, but that's with your PEs and everything else. Like that's the only, but it wasn't so much that, I won't lie, I went to my history classes because I love history. I went to my English class because there was a teacher, Strazula, who I really liked. I kept having good teachers. I hate math. I hate science. I don't understand, like when you start putting them letters and saying the letters mean numbers, my mind I'm logical. 1 + 1 = 2 all day. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I don't know what you're talking about. So my GPA wasn't high enough, but I scored a 30 on the ACT as a sophomore in high school.
So they probably saw all that.
So
too.
they saw this stuff, and then the lady told my mama, he ain't getting in. I don't know what to tell you, ma'am. He not getting in. Somehow, I got in. And then once I got in, it was all that. It was just destined for me to go to Florida State and play for a legend like Bobby Bowden, and I'm so grateful for the man. It taught me, and even as a man, it's taught me to judge people by what the product that they show you. There's always going to be things that we don't agree with. I don't care what your political leanings are. That man came and got me from out of a situation that I was in. That man showed me every day that he loved me. He showed me a way to be able to conduct myself as a man. I would be successful if I follow this path. As an old white man from Alabama, took a young black man like me from two different places that and I got an opportunity to see the world because of that. And I got a chance to say that I played for a legend, and there's doors that I can get in simply because I played for Bobby Bowden. And I probably wouldn't have had that same opportunity if I would have went to Miami, because I think one of the benefits of being here, being from here, knowing people knowing how the different stages of how I've grown up and how I've grown, they keep me on the right path. In Miami, big city, you can get lost. It's very easy to get lost, and I think I would have got lost. And I'm grateful for it. I have tremendous respect for the University of Miami when we talk trash. I just hate Florida. So, but as far as that, man, it's one of the best to sit. And then bigger than that, and I tell these young men all the time, man, my mama got a chance to see me play every home. So 8 times a year, I knew my mama was going to see me play. Right. And my sister, who's unfortunately her birthday's in September, so for 8 years of her life, her birthday revolved around football. So it's like she could have friends over, but they was gonna come see me play, and they was gonna have a sleepover after a slumber party after that. And then the most important moment to me was we played UAB in 2004. That was my first college touchdown. My grandmother had never been to a football game live before. She was in there. She saw me score my first touchdown. And if I'd have been somewhere else, she probably would have missed that. And just what Coach Bowden, Miss Carroll? Miss Carroll's there now. I forgot his secretary. Miss Stacy was the secretary. Miss Stacy took care of my mama. She gave handicap passes. And people thought I was way bigger than what I was. My mama was parking in the stadium because she had a handicap sticker. So for my grandmother, so she was there. And then my grandmama was like on the 50-yard line where they had a handicap seat. So she got a chance to see all of those things. And I got a chance to put on for the city, which is important. My jersey was in Shingles Chicken House. When they was here, that's my goddaddy Daryl. I would go there, give me a 4-piece white, double fries, and a root beer. Go play Miss Pac-Man while I'm waiting for it. And, just to hear those, that's what I don't care about national fame. I am really just a local guy that really, the most important thing for me is when I come back, I go see Daryl, I go see, I see the Shingles, I see the Baileys, I see the Lightborns, I see my mama. And the most important thing is for those people to always tell me, because they knew the direction that it could have gone, that they're proud of me, and that my mama can go hold her head high when she walk around the city because everybody knows what I'm going to do. They still talk about, 3 years we shut down the whole hood, gave us some book bags. They talk about me playing. They talk about the glory days. So those are the things that are very important to me. And that's what I try to make sure my sons understand. Your name is your name.
Right.
More important, all the other stuff is dope. It helps when you play sports and you do some things excellent, but at the end of the day, your name is your name.
Mm-hmm. And see, the one thing he talked about is the Hickmans. So the daddy on Hickman, or the father, he had Florida High running a certain way. And, coming from Quincy, like we've seen Florida High as almost like a preparatory, like school, like how he was saying, like how you see the guys at Duke. That's how we kind of seen Florida High. And, but the kids always were treated with respect. And we did have some kids from Quincy who used to go to Florida High. And recently, Florida High football, for the last probably 7-6 years, I don't know if they recruit. Hold on, now, I ain't saying that. Don't be trying to go looking into nothing. Now. Don't go trying to look into nothing. I'm just saying.
They balling.
They balling.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at.
They got playmakers.
Right. The last 6-7 years, I don't know what happened, but man, they taking over. Like they the link how Lincoln used to be. Like Florida High is not a premier team right here. That everybody say, man, I don't think we're gonna win against them tonight. How you feel about that? They're looking at them now.
I think it's awesome, man. I really wish that I could get back more. I really want to watch a game. I got a chance to watch them play Andrew Jackson High School in the playoffs with the COVID year. So I think it was, I got a chance to see them play them. And they had, they had Amari Harvey. They had, they got a lot of guys that actually the parents went to Florida High. Oh. So now they're getting the kids back there. And it's just, it's the talent that left them. What's the boy's name? Arnold, the young man just went to Alabama. He was at John Paul, but he was at Florida High for a minute, then transferred. But it's I like, one, it's cool because when I still go to Florida High, my name's on a record. So that's always cool. So when they good and my name's on the record, that makes people think I might have been better than what I was. Yeah. But it's kind of like I said, I'm not one of them old heads that just be like, man, if I had these opportunities that y'all had, right, I would have been better. Man, I don't care about that. Just like with the name, image, and likeness, man, I want them boys to be millionaires if they can be. Yeah. Go eat. I did this so that you could do more. It's about building, it's about leaving the world better than what you got it. So like, even me, like, I feel like the way I played at Florida State made people say, well, all right, let's go see what Florida High has. And then I think, that, and then you start, not just me, then you see Jenkins, you see some other guys, I got a few guys in the league after that. People are like, okay, well, man, I want my kid to do that. And it's all about building. And I think they've built a family. They've built some things, and old Hickman installed a lot of stuff that young Hickman has. And they still say some of the same phrases. I remember every day at the end of practice, he would say, other than that, all I know is I love Florida High football. And you still can say that to somebody who played at Florida High and don't know exactly what that means, like how to finish that. So I hope they continue to be good. Because, at a time it wasn't everybody wanted to go to Lincoln when I was coming up. And I almost went, actually it's crazy if I done went to Lincoln. It's crazy how much D1 talent Lincoln had during that time. Everybody wanted to go to NFC. Yeah. And it's crazy how much talent that NFC had during that time. But like to see people want to go to Florida High, and it's not a situation where it's just like a real private school. You got to get accepted into Florida High, and they literally have a locked amount of kids that they can have because so they won't lose their charter. And to be honest with you, even then, they have to have, it's a direct representation of the census of the state of Florida. So if the state of Florida is, let's say, 55% Caucasian, 55% of the student population at Florida has to be Caucasian. Whatever the percentage of African Americans, it has to be that. Hispanics has to be that. Native Americans has to be that, or they'll lose the charter status. So it's just crazy how they can do that with all of these things that are going on, these stigmas. But, I think, like I said, it's a dope thing. I hope they continue to do well, because one day I will be able to come back to more games, and I will be able to bring my sons to these games, and I want them to be able to be like, hey, Daddy's school was kind of good.
Playing.
If he has his way, you never know. Like I see people all the time talk about leaving Tallahassee, and I look at how I can get back. Yeah. Like I really want to, and as I continue with some of these things that I'm doing, if it brings me here, I have no problem coming back to Tallahassee. And he may go to Florida Hop. Right now, looks like Jacksonville is just home right now. But I bring a lot of Tallahassee to Jacksonville. And it's crazy that everybody wants to leave here so you can't make it. But just think about who's come out of here. Like, you got T-Pain influenced an entire music industry sounding like Tallahassee. Telling people, explaining the songs. I'm like, man, that's a Tallahassee. That is a Southside Tallahassee feeling right there. Yeah. I can't tell you how everybody else feel, but I can tell you we ain't had strip clubs. So going to your first strip club, I can see how you can fall in love with one. Yeah. You don't know how this works. Just stuff like being a good country Southern boy, being sprung. Seeing somebody from out, like just some of them songs, I'm like, man, okay, I can vibe with that. But also the dichotomy of being successful. Like on that first album, he had this is not going through a lot. Fly Away. Just listening to how the different things, and then somebody told me today was my day. They see me on the big screen, they see me on the stage, and it must be true because here I am. Like people are telling you how big you are and everything you're doing and how proud you are, but inside you're just like, right. I don't even know, man. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just out here just giving through. So it's just, but again, Tallahassee, you see, people come here for college to get that little influence to go be a mayor of Atlanta, be a mayor of Minneapolis, be a mayor of different things, running for governor, running for this stuff. It's so much. I think sometimes you can you get here and you see all this greatness every day, and you just get kind of bogged down, and you don't realize it until you leave, and other people want your influence. Right. And that's kind of why I bring a little Tallahassee everywhere I go.
Right. Now that what he talking about for with T-Pain, I'll never forget, I saw T-Pain in an interview, and he said he was walking past a mirror, and he was getting ready for a show, and he looked at the mirror like, I can't believe this me. I really, it's almost like he had an out-of-body experience. Dog, this really me. I'm the one that everybody out there cheering for. So, this amazing, man, just to hear what Mr. Coleman got going on and the things that he said for Florida High. And I love the thought process he had with a lot of things he just said. And I want you to just give the people what you got going on now. Things that you may have coming up, or things that you might want to share with them as well.
Okay. One of the biggest things is I have my Den Media Group. I do sports radio. I get a chance to talk about, I get a chance to get paid doing everything I love. I get to talk about sports. I'm sponsored by ABC Fine Wine and Spirits, so I get paid to drink alcohol, dehumidor, smoke cigars, and shoot. I have a gun company that sponsors me, so not suggesting anybody do any of these things in abundance, just there are recreational activities. Yeah. But it's so cool that I get to talk about my alma mater. I get to cover the Jacksonville Jaguars, talk about the NFL, and I get to talk about topics in the manner in which I do. And I think I want to encourage more young, and it kind of goes into what my main passion is. So many people talk about our culture and the things that the subsidiaries of it, hip hop, sports, but they are not of the culture. So you got a lot of people who judge young men and women, but not understand why they do it. In fact, one of the funniest things, I get into this argument. Great guy, Coach Murphy, old white man. He always says he hates when the guys celebrate when they score a touchdown. He said, act like you've been there. I said, man, I scored 10. I've been there. It's hard to get there, and you never know when you're going to go back. Yeah. I said, if I'd have known my last touchdown was going to be 17 years ago, you know what I would have done? I'd have celebrated like it was no tomorrow, because that's why you do all of this work, man, for one fleeting moment. Right. It's not, and you're not hurting anybody. You're celebrating your success. Nothing else we do in life do we tell people to act like you've been there. Like, if I get $100,000 contract, you best believe you're gonna know I got a $100,000 contract, because I'm gonna celebrate. Right. If y'all get 1 million views, you're gonna celebrate, right? You gonna act like you been there? You ain't been there before. Yeah. You don't know what it's gonna be like. Yeah. You don't know how long it's gonna last. So I do that to try to help bridge the gap, but I also do that to help sponsor. I have this company called MFT, the MFTK Foundation. It's Mentors for the Kids, is what it is, one thing. But if you've been around kids enough, you've said MFTK under your breath to some kids. Man, them kids. And it started as a tongue-in-cheek joke, but then we started getting money, and then I wanted to do a book bag drive home. Everybody said, James, you don't ever do nothing back home. So I said, all right, cool. So during COVID, so we're gonna do a book bag drive. All the money that came from my t-shirt sales, and then we did a good crowdfunding, and then some other people came in big time, and we bought. The goal was I was gonna buy 100 book bags myself. So anything I do, guys, this is what I'm doing. If y'all want help, come on, we can do it bigger. But at a minimum, we're gonna do this.
Right.
We ended up giving out 600 book bags at Bond Elementary School. Bond Elementary School is the only elementary school that would let us do it in Tallahassee. I went to Appalachian. They wouldn't let me do it. Nobody else was open. To their defense, COVID. But Bond said they wanted to do it. And we put a food drive, shut down the whole hood. Not a thing happened. Bad, but positive. Got some press, not a lot. Somebody got shot. It'd have been national. But we got 600. Then we did it in Tallahassee. We did it in Jacksonville. Did 500. So I was like, all right, bet. Let's double that. So we did 2,000. We did 1,000 in Jacksonville last year, and then 1,000 here in Tallahassee. We're going to always do it at Bond until they tell me they can't do it. I kind of wanted to do it at Fairview since that was my first middle school, but whatever. Right. This year was crazy because we gave away 36,000 total book bags. Yeah. It's not my bad. 3,600, my bad. I exaggerated, my bad. Got too excited. 36,000 is the goal one day. We gave away 3,600 in Atlanta, Tallahassee, Jacksonville, and Tampa. So when we did it this year in Bond, we had 1,000 cars that came through. So 1,000 families got fed. Each car was able to get food, about a week's worth of groceries. And they got anywhere between 3 to 4 book bags as long as the kids registered. Jacksonville, we had about 1,200 that came through, and we fed them and did all of that other stuff. And then the other places, we distributed those. Those are my big things. I'm going to do those every year as long as I'm here. COVID almost took me out for my 37th birthday. So I thought that was going to be the last one. So what I'm telling people is, and we do it around my birthday every year. So it's kind of like similar to what Little Duval does, Duval Day in Jacksonville. So he goes into the hood, everybody comes out. So that's really what my end goal is to have like a big game day. So when we here in Tallahassee, we're gonna always be at Bond. We did a football camp right after that. If I get here on a Friday, we're gonna do a social gathering where people are just having fun and partying with a purpose. And so that MFTK Fund, we also did a STEM camp because I will teach them how to play this game at a high level. I will equip them to be educated, but it's the brain. I make more money now off of my mind and my thoughts than I ever did off of my body. Mm-hmm. And what I want to show young men and women is that, like what we're doing right now, I am so infatuated with production, I have no idea how to do it. I have to literally, and I talked to my son today, I said, son, you realize daddy gets paid, but daddy can't do nothing without your uncle. If your uncle says he's sick, daddy can't have a show. I don't know how to push them buttons. I don't know what to do. Mm-hmm. They do all of that. I want young men and women to know that there's people behind the camera. There's more than just being a rapper. There's more than just being an athlete. There's so many other ways that you can go make money and have fun doing it. So, but how do you know? Unless somebody introduces you to it. So I'm introducing them to that. So that's the goal for that. And all that's through my MFTK Foundation and just giving kids experiences and giving them hope. But the main thing is equipping them and equipping them with the tools that are necessary to survive, feeding them, and then showing them a different way. All my other stuff is cool. I'm great. That's why we have sponsors. People watch it, like it, really don't care. The most important thing is making sure that young men and women that particularly that look like us, but it doesn't matter. I don't care. I ain't going around with a chart looking at people's skin tone. And I don't also tell people to give me their tax returns. I don't really care. You come through that line, I'm gonna help you. Right. Because I want somebody to be influenced to change the world. And I know that their voice might be the thing that gets people. And I've been around so many different people that have helped me. So that's the main thing. Just I'm an amateur philanthropist, I guess. But really, it all comes down to if I can make them kids successful, they probably not gonna mess with my kids. So and my kids don't fight. My kids don't fight like I fought. So like I don't want them to have to fight like Daddy fought. I just want them to be the great kid. It's like Ball. LeVar Ball is probably one of the best dads that nobody talks about. Nobody understands. Nobody gets what he did. He was who his sons couldn't be. All his kids are very quiet, very meek, don't do anything, but that don't help you in sports. So what did the dad do? The dad became the voice and I will promote my kids. I will be the jerk so that my kids can just be who they are and still have success. Right. So I don't want my sons having to go out and know it. Like my son, I think he's been in one fight. That's great. I love it. By the time I was his age, I had been in a lot. Yeah. I don't want him to have to do what I had to do. And, you know, that's the biggest thing. And and then promoting Black fatherhood. I guess that would be the biggest thing. They say we're unicorns. We don't exist. You don't see any of that stuff. Nah, I only hang out with Black dads. If you don't take care of your kids, you can't hang out with me. Yeah. In fact, me and my dad's relationship ain't as great because he didn't take care of his kids. So, like, but he's a better granddad than he was a dad. So it's about, and then again, reconciliation with that. So, you know, y'all don't care if you're married to the woman. Just, you gotta be involved with your Jets, man. So that's, I'm sorry, man. I'll talk all day. That's my thing.
No problem, man. I gotta say thank you again for Mr. Coleman coming on, man. This is James Coleman, man, Florida high legend. He went on to Florida State, do great things. He played on a high level, and he's still doing great things to this day. I love the things he spoke on for his kids and the things he's doing with his program. And this somebody who all young kids can kind of look up to because he had a certain way how he was when he was younger. And all of us, especially, you know, when you're a young man, you get that sense of, oh, I know what's going on. Nobody can tell me what to do. But he was able to evolve into a person that a lot of kids can look at and say, you know what? If he can do it, I can do it. And he promoting a positive message too. And I just want to thank him again for coming on, man. And I'm going to leave y'all how I always leave y'all. Keep your head up and not down, or else you'll fall to the ground. This is a Life in Football podcast. Catch you next time.